Hey people, it is Tuesday, March the 26th. The time is 2:12 in the afternoon, and it's currently a somewhat pleasant 8 degrees Celsius outside, but very overcast. And rain is expected to begin later in the afternoon and continue throughout the rest of the day pretty much, so I thought I'd get out here ahead of the rain. We're currently on Jarvis Street, approaching Matland Street here, so I'm going to take a walk zigzagging along some of these residential cross streets here in this part of downtown, which is very charming with its lovely old historic homes and apartment buildings. I did a similar walk recently along Isabella and Gloucester Street, and I really enjoyed that one, so I thought I'd continue on with some of the other streets a bit further south. So here we are. Matland Street does go for another block to the east. The really nice part begins right here. So I think what I'll do is I'll go as far west as Bay Street. So we'll be crossing Yonge repeatedly on this walk, going from the east side to the west side and back again. Yonge Street is the dividing line between the east side and west side of downtown. And here's where Mutual Street begins. That's a street I've done a walk along. It's interesting enough to be worthy of its own dedicated walk. Sal Curry Hall. We'll be crossing Church Street in just a few moments. This is a great apartment building. Crossing Church, we're in Church Wellesley Village. I think it's almost time for me to do a dedicated Church Street walk also. I'll get around to that in the near future, walking from one end of Church to the other. And here's where Gordon Lightfoot used to live, that circular building on the left. Back in the 70s when he was just getting his career off the ground as a chart-topping entertainer. And I passed by here in another recent walk, digging a large pit there for a new 40-story residential tower. And it looks like right across the street there's a proposal here for a 49-story tower. Looks like they'll be retaining this old historic building. I think I hear a protest off in the distance. So we're going to cross Yonge Street. But this is where Matland Street ends, and then across the street it goes by another name. There's a slight jog here in how the streets line up. This is Breadalbane Street, one of the more oddly named streets in the downtown area. And Dr. Lillian McGregor Park. This is a fairly recent addition to the neighborhood. Just a couple of years old or so. And there's the Y. I think that's the main downtown YMCA. And here's Bay Street. This is as far west as we're going to go.
It's like, yeah.
Oh no, Poke Bar. If I were them, I'd make a radio jingle. Be my Yoko Ono Poke Bar. A bad bare naked ladies joke / reference there. You can just ignore that. And here is Grosvenor Street. This is another street with an unusual name that is almost always mispronounced. I'm not even sure if I pronounced it correctly. So now we're heading back east again. And I believe this parking garage here is slated to be redeveloped with 2 new residential towers, which will be mostly geared as affordable housing. That project seems to have stalled though. There's been no movement for the last several years since it was first announced. And I guess this is the main entrance to the YMCA. Toronto Fire Station 314. Some strange... Thought it was the protest, but it looks like it's just a couple of people with a speaker. I'll just wait till they move out of range here. I'm not sure if that's a copyright claim situation or not. We'll be crossing Yonge Street again momentarily. We'll just cross Yonge here. That's a very loud speaker they have there. Interesting. And once again, once you cross Yonge Street, the street changes names. Now it's Alexander Street. I walked past here just in a recent video as well. At that time I was going south through some of these neighborhood alleyways and laneways. Looks like the Alexander Street Parquet is closed for improvements. And this is closed down. It was a restaurant. We have some old housing cooperatives here. The Village Green, as well as rental apartments, including the Gordon Lightfoot building there. And here's the history of the apartments on the street. Opened in 1955. The first mid-century modern high-rise project in downtown Toronto. So this is sort of what began the trend of these style of modern apartment blocks, which sprang up throughout the entire city, which later came to be known as slabs or commie blocks. Although at the time, they were seen as the new modern way of city living. St. Jamestown was another project that started out in a similar fashion. And we're back at Church Street. Hair of the dog. Long-standing popular spot here in the neighborhood. Kind of at the southern end of the Church Wellesley Village, and this is Wood Street. So let's head back west again. Here's the backside of the Maple Leaf Gardens. Once you get further south, the streets tend to get a lot more dense with large apartment buildings. And you don't see so many of the old Victorian townhomes or walk-up apartments as you did a bit further north. Looks like the sun is trying to come out from behind all this overcast clouds. And once again, we have arrived at Yonge Street. And once again, the street changes names. So we're going to leave Wood Street, and across the street, it becomes Grenville Street. Let's look south down Yonge. Okay, this car's making a turn. I think this is the only old historic home left on this entire block here. And this one was actually relocated. It was a bit further up the block. And when they began construction on this new residential tower, they had to lift the house up and move it over and put it down right there in order to build the tower on the lot the way that they designed. You'd never know it. Maybe you can find old photographs, or maybe on Google Street View even, where you can see where the house originally was located. And they've done that a number of other times for other projects in the city. And it looks like they built this apartment building on top of what were some old historic buildings here. It's kind of a clash of styles. I don't think they did the best job with this one.
Hello.
And it's nice that the old facade at least is still there. And here's where they're going to build those two affordable housing buildings. You can see this is all unoccupied and derelict. On the other side is where that parking garage was. So hopefully they'll get that underway in the near future. And here's the backside of the Toronto Police Headquarters. It fronts onto College Street. I just wanted to get a look at this building. Simon Apartments. I wonder if this was originally built to be an apartment building, or if it was later converted. And we're back at Bay Street. Protect. 2. So, oh, I get it. To serve and protect, because we're in front of the police headquarters building. Although it still says Metropolitan Toronto Police Headquarters, they didn't take down the metropolitan part because that goes back to another era when what is the present-day city of Toronto was known as the Municipality of Metropolitan Toronto. And that was a 2-tiered municipality with a bunch of independent places with their own mayors and councils, sort of linked together in a federation where they share services, and one of the services they shared was the police. But eventually they all amalgamated together in the late 90s, 1997-98, and became what is just now the City of Toronto. So that sign should now just say Toronto Police Service. But they just never bothered to change it. Because the police cars back in the day would say Metro Police on them. And that's no longer the case. Police Museum and Discovery Center. I wonder how popular that is among other museums in the city. It's a cool looking building though. I'm currently on Carlton Street, heading east towards Yonge, and I'm going to start to wrap up this walk. So I hope you enjoyed another downtown zigzag walk along a bunch of east-west streets, taking in some of the old buildings, houses, apartments, and anything else of interest. So leave a comment down below if you enjoyed, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal, as well as via my merch store. And you can also support the channel by becoming a channel member, or by sending a super thanks if you prefer. And you can find me on Instagram also under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and be sure to keep checking back, because as always, I will continue.